just like magic, this becomes this today on Weekend at the Cottage. Welcome to Weekend at the Cottage. I'm Nick Manoilovich today with an incredible treat. Before I launch into how to make apple butter, just the name has me excited, let me remind you, please head to weekendatthecottage.com. While you're visiting our website, subscribe to it. You're probably watching this video on YouTube, and if you are, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, drop us a few comments, give us thumbs up if you like this and all of the other videos on our channel. Finally, look for us on your favorite socials: Pinterest, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And whenever you try one of our recipes, don't forget, add hashtag weekendatthecottage to all of your pics. You'll probably be taking tons of photographs of this recipe. We are doing an old-fashioned apple butter that truly is one of my favorites. The entire process started with me and a bunch of foodies going out to a couple of apple orchards. We were going to learn the lay of the land, so to speak, about this beloved fruit. We saw how the apples were washed and sized and packed, and of course I left with a couple of bags of apples. And then what to do? Yes, I could make apple pie, or I could do apple strudel or a traditional apple cake. Instead, it's all about apple butter. I have a concentrated flavor coming at you I know you're going to enjoy. First thing to mention is the type of apples I decided to use. I picked two of my favorites. The first is Gala. And Gala apples are perfect in this recipe. They really work well when they're cooked. I'm also using Ambrosia apples. They're firm textured and they also have a very sweet flavor. Once I have the apples home, first thing we need to do is give them a wash. I fill the sink with water, rub the apples between my hands, and then take your apple, do a couple of twists on the stem just to remove it. Once our apples are washed, we're over to the work surface, and I'm going to suggest you pick up one of these funky little gizmos. This is an apple corer and cutter. You place your apple onto your surface, press down, the core pops up the center, we can take that away and discard it, and then your apple is already cut. Notice one thing, I didn't peel the apples. I want this apple butter packed with vitamins, nutrients, and flavor. Although they're cut, I'm going to do one additional step and run the apples through a food processor. This just reduces them in size and makes the cooking of the apples a little bit easier. Transferring our processed apples into my large soup pot, thick bottomed, we're going to add 2 liters of mulled apple cider. Again, a mulled spiced cider is going to boost the flavor quotient. My big pot goes to stovetop. We're going to bring this to a boil. Make sure you keep stirring as it comes to a boil. Right before it comes to a boil, we need to add our sugars, and I've reduced the sugar in this recipe on purpose. I just love the flavor of the apple coming through as opposed to too much sugar. 3 cups of granulated sugar, 3 cups of dark brown sugar. We can stir that in. Apples are still coming to temperature. Right before it comes to a boil, we're gonna add our spice complement. Get ready for 2 tablespoons of ground cinnamon, 2 tablespoons of allspice, 1 teaspoon of cloves, a teaspoon of nutmeg, half a cup of fresh squeezed lemon juice, secret ingredient, 2 tablespoons of vanilla extract. Vanilla extract is in, we're taking a spoon, stir your apple butter, it's just come to a boil. Now we reduce to simmer, and I need you to set your clock. Every 15 minutes, set your timer, 15 minutes, timer goes off, come back to the kitchen and stir the pot. Set your timer again, 15 minutes, come back and stir the pot, so to speak. We're gonna now slow cook this apple butter on simmer for 2 hours. One thing I gotta tell you, your cottage or home is gonna smell so delicious when you're making apple butter. At that 2-hour mark, we're getting ready to process our apple butter. We've placed our canning jars into the dishwasher, run full cycle, no soap. Our lids and rings are on stovetop, ready to be sterilized. Last step in the recipe is to puree the apple butter. I like doing this step using an immersion blender. It takes about 10 minutes, but it's so worth it as you go all the way to the bottom of the pot. It's important to completely puree the apple butter for that very smooth, silky texture. Now that the apple butter is pureed, we're gonna do our plate test. I have a couple of small plates in the freezer. Place a plate on your work surface, take a teaspoon of your apple butter, place it onto the plate, count to maybe about 30, and then tilt the plate. The apple butter is holding its shape. Notice as well, there's no water seeping out of the apple butter. You know your apple butter is done. It's now time to process. We're placing our apple butter to one side, jar with sterilized funnel. I'm taking a sterilized ladle and we start to fill. Check out the color. It is so beautiful. We're gonna fill almost to the top, a little bit of headroom. Take the funnel over to the next jar. We place down our lid. Finger tighten your ring, place it to the side, and you continue until all of your jars are filled. Once your jars are filled, last step is to can the apple butter. Large pot of boiling water on stovetop. I usually do 5 to 6 jars at a time. They go into the boiling hot water carefully, and we're gonna process our apple butter for 15 minutes. At that 15-minute mark, we have tongs and oven mitt to remove the processed apple butter from the canning bath onto the work surface. Pops in no time. You know this is going to be incredible. So incredible. In fact, I always love to do the little tiny paper caps and a little bit of butcher string when they cool. They make perfect gifts. Final thing, how do we enjoy apple butter? Well, that's pretty simple. We can place it into a small bowl and we're gonna dip fresh vegetables into it. Hosting a party, how about a cracker, a piece of marbled cheddar, a fresh little bit of apple, and then apple butter on top. Fresh ground black pepper, please. Sensational. Finally, how does Nick Manoilovich like his apple butter? How about a toasted English muffin? I'm gonna smear a little bit of creamy peanut butter on it, and then a dollop of apple butter, maybe 2, and then just spread that apple butter across the top. I gotta tell you, there is nothing more fantastic than enjoying apple butter this way. The only way you're gonna find out is by making this recipe. Share it with your friends. Everyone will love it. After that, come on back and hang out again with Weekend at the Cottage. Always something delicious happening right here in the Weekend at the Cottage kitchen. Thanks so much for hanging out. Thanks too to our beloved apples. Pretty magical. How did it taste, Des? Ooh, fantastic. Oh, I love apple butter.